It is the middle of the month, and your bill is face up on your table. You already know the big number at the bottom. So you do what you always do. You scroll past it. Rental, equipment, broadcast, then a line with the word sports in it. You stop. You do not watch sport. Not your team, not your game, not ever. You have never once turned that channel on. Nobody asked you about this line. Nobody offered to take it off your bill. It is not a mistake, and it is not new. At the other end of your line, a basketball team is being paid. And the biggest single line of income at that team is not the seats. It is yours, and the ones on bills like yours belonging to people who never watch. How is that even possible? On the 12th of August, a basketball team was sold. The Los Angeles Lakers, $12.5 billion. The highest price ever paid for a sports team anywhere. 14 months earlier, the same team changed hands at $10 billion. 10 to 12.5 in 14 months. This is dollars decoded, and here is the whole job in one line. A number that big travels the world in an afternoon. Then a much smaller one arrives on your bill, and nobody reports that one. Today, you are getting both. Picture what a price like that is buying. You are standing at the very top of the arena. Below you, the court. All around you, the seats. This is what everybody pictures. A full house on a Friday. Shirts with a name on the back. Beer, parking, a banner in the roof. That is the story we all carry about a famous team. The building is packed, so the team is rich. Now look at the seats again and count them. There are not enough of them. There will never be enough of them. Sell every seat, every night, forever, and you do not come close. Here is what the Lakers take in a year. About $550 million. That is all of it. Tickets, shirts, sponsors, the naming on the building. Now hold that against the price. $12.5 billion. That is roughly 22 years of every single dollar the team earns. 22 years if you spent nothing and paid nobody. So this was never a ticket business. It was bought for the biggest line on the page. And the biggest line is not the door you walk through. It is television. Come back with me to a street in Los Angeles in 2012. Evening. Cables strung pole to pole. Windows going blue, one at a time. On the 30th of September, 2 new channels switch on. Everybody on that street knows what they carry. The team had signed a contract the year before, 20 years of it. The cable company would pay the team a fixed sum every year into the 30s. Not a share of what people watched. Not a cut of who tuned in. A fixed sum. Nobody on that street was asked about it either. Hold on to those 3 words because you are going to need them. Your line comes out of them. That contract runs 20 years, and it is worth about $3 billion, which is about $200 million a year to one basketball team for its games. It is the most expensive local television deal in the league. The next one down, in New York, is worth roughly half of it. Now go back to the $550 million you heard a minute ago. About $185 million of that is this one channel. Put it beside the national money. The league sold its national rights for $76 billion over 11 years. Every team gets a slice. The Lakers' slice is about $110 million. Read those 2 figures again, slowly. One local channel pays this team more than every national broadcaster put together. You have heard of every one of those broadcasters. You have almost certainly never heard of the channel. Now sit at the table with me, where a deal like that gets agreed. Long table? Daylight? A calendar on the wall. Nobody in this room is doing anything wrong, and you should not look for it. In 2011, this was a good deal on both sides. The team gets certainty for 20 years. The cable company gets the one thing nobody else can copy. And underneath it sits an assumption so ordinary nobody wrote it down, that homes like yours would keep buying the bundle. In 2011, homes like yours did. Nobody at that table was wrong about the world they were sitting in. They were signing for a world 20 years away. They were signing for the one you are sitting in now. That is where the whole thing turns. So where does $200 million a year come from? Not the door, not the shirts, not you buying a ticket. It comes from a fee charged per home per month. Every home carrying that channel pays it inside the package. Yours included if it sits in your package. When those channels launched, the asking price was published. As much as $3.95 a month per subscriber, not per viewer, per subscriber. Nobody counts whether you watched. Near the highest rate in the country at the time. Now here is the part that answers your question. Since that contract was signed, nearly 40 million American homes have left the bundle. 40 million. The payment to the team did not leave with them. It was fixed. 20 years, remember. Fee income across the industry is falling 8 to 10% a year. The sum owed did not move at all. So the arithmetic has one place left to go. Towards you. Half the houses leave, the bill stays the same. The houses still there pay more. Not because anybody is greedy, because that is what a fixed number divided by a smaller number does. And that is your answer. The biggest line of income at a basketball team is a monthly charge. Every home in the package pays it. It never asks whether you watched. And it costs you more each year for one reason. Fewer homes are left to split it with you. So what does that look like on your bill? At the end of June this year, one big American provider moved its sports fee. It had been $3.99 a month. It went to about $15 on average, and as much as $23.99. If you were on the old rate, that is around $11 more every month. More than $130 a year out of your account for a channel you may never once open. And if you do want the games, there is a door. $19.99 a month, straight from the channel. Over 70 games a season, all of them yours. Now put those two beside each other. About $20 a month to watch the Lakers, and up to about $20 a month not to. One of them you chose. The other one arrived. Right now, that channel is itself up for sale. Bankers were hired last autumn to find a buyer. Every buyer is reported to want the same thing first, a smaller payment to the team, which is how your line ends up holding up a $12.5 billion price. Not the seats, not the shirts, your line. Go back to your own front room. Your bill is still there. Your television is still off. You are not going to move a basketball team tonight. So do the small thing instead. Pick up your last television or broadband bill. Find the itemized part under the total, the part you always scroll past. Look for the words sports or broadcast or regional. There will be a line there. There nearly always is. Multiply it by 12. That is what you paid last year for something nobody ever asked you about. Then decide whether you want it. That is what Dollars Decoded is for. We take the number that made the headlines and follow it until it reaches your table. If that was worth your evening, subscribe, and we will do it again tomorrow. Somewhere, a team just sold for the highest price in the history of sport. Part of it was paid by a house with the television off. It might have been yours.